Hi, I'm Rick Harsh, and this is reading number 11, the 11th book published by Cruelest Month. And I'm going to read it to you. But the thing is, it is two novels. So I'm going to read a brief section from each. Suddenly this summer, we're going to read, I can't remember what I chose last night, so just bear with me a second. The sky was a magnifying glass, and the sun a great fierce eye looking through it, watching us suffer. That don't sound good. That next week was so hot. I heard every sound in the night, the footsteps of the man walking past the house after midnight, and the rustling of the bag around the open bottle he carried, and his greedy swallowing as he drank from it, the satisfied, and the rubbing of his forearm across his lips. I was so exhausted from the heat and lack of sleep, my sense of hearing sharpened like an owl's. I heard bats weaving through the air, and in my mind's eye saw them dipping and swinging in flight through the arc of light around the corner streetlight. I heard cars drag racing down First Avenue. Then I heard the crackling paper and tobacco as Mr. Longo took a drag on his cigarette where he sat on his porch. In quiet, earnest voices, the children huddled on a creaking porch step somewhere on the block told tales about the bloody hook and the boy across the street who'd hanged himself, and his sister who found him, and how she went to the window on stormy nights and stared out into the backyard where the limb of the huge elm groaned in the wind because she thought he still hung there. Wouldn't it be fun one night to throw a rope around that branch and scare her? Children are so wicked behind their apparent powerlessness. You better believe they are, especially the boys. They're always the ringleaders. One of the larger boys, maybe aged 12 or 13, rang my bell last Halloween night. And what was he wearing? A black robe and a noose around his neck. I told him he was disgusting and too old for trick-or-treat anyway and slammed the door. Someone egged my house that night. I wonder who. You see, boys can make fun out of anything nasty. I heard dogs baying and rats scratching through the grass and the whispered conversations lovers breathed into each other's necks. I plugged my ears. I shut my eyes tight, but I couldn't stop the sounds from overwhelming me. I dragged through my days and slept through most of the movies at the World. My eyes blurred over my book at Merkel's ice cream shop, and once a man had to shake me awake because I was muttering in my dream. He had a shocked look when I came to, and he said, "Lady, I'm sorry I had to wake you up like that, but you were saying some awful things." What things? The language. It was plain bad. I couldn't believe it. But I never use foul language. I can't help it. You were right then. Good thing it was only you and me in here. But anybody could have walked in and heard you. Roberta Suki. Now, for April is the cruelest month. Let's see what we've chosen for that one. Oh, yes. Yes. We clinked and drank. Ethel made a face. Ethel. Does anyone else find it strange that sweet, quiet, gentle, harmless, angelic, timid, placid, muscleless, flaccid, lonely, depressed, isolated, neglected, trapped, directionless, homely, with receding chin, Eddie Papoul would own a gun? He never expressed any interest in guns. Darlis turned to me and placed her cold, chapped hand on my wrist. I flinched and pulled away. She gets gooey for me when she gets good and soused. She stonewalls me like her natural enemy until a bellyful of beer heats her up and melts her permafrost. Darlis. Please think carefully before you drive off and shoot yourself in the head in the car. My sister, now a priest in garments. Fuck. Being in. Ah, yeah. You will, won't you, Mark? For my sake? I guess it's no secret it would kill me if anything bad happened to you, Mark Lidball. Me. Not only did she not come out of her coma, but she died on Easter evening while the bells were tolling and her room was filled with me and Easter lilies and a Japanese nurse. Allbelly. How do you know she was a Japanese and not of some other nation of Asia? Me. Because when my mother breathed her last and the nurse said, "Son, I'm sorry to report that your mother is now dead," I said, "How do you know?" And she said, "I am Japanese." Allbelly. Did you bawl like a baby? Me. I thought I was going to, but then the nurse started pulling IVs and tubes out of Mother and unplugging things, and she asked, "Since you're on that side of the bed, would you mind unplugging the glucose drip?" It was near the end of her shift, and I think she was in a hurry to wrap things up. She did whatever code it is that brings them all running. Before the stampede arrived, she looked at me and said, "There are so many redundant systems around here. You know it's death. I know it's death. But when it's death, everybody has to get his thumb in the pie." Allbelly wrinkled his nose. Me. And then I didn't cry. That's all I can tell you. Father did all the crying. The wailing, the moaning, the hand-wringing, I watched. And I thought, well, I guess this means I can go ahead and play with myself as much as I want, because I told God that if he'd heal my mother, I'd never touch myself or anyone else ever again. Allbelly. It was Easter, for God's sake. When your mama dies on Easter, you're supposed to cry. Instead, all you think is, thank God God didn't come through, because now I don't have to give up fucking. Whew, that was a close one. Hail Mary, you should have cried. Ethel. Even if she had died the day before while your daddy was baking ham, she deserved your tears, Buster. Allbelly. So let's not put it off. Let's all have a good cry for our late lamented friend Eddie Papool. And for ourselves as well, because we're going to develop tics, sphincter problems, angina, fungal toenails, embarrassing age spots, halitosis, gingivitis, stenosis of this and that passageway, hernias, goiters, conjunctivitis, pressure sores, floating kidneys. That's the Vardeman flip. A little bit of each side. Thank you. And